In this final video, we're going to be talking about what we can do. We've talked about a lot of harmful and painful and unhealthy behaviors in relationships, but what can we do to keep those from happening or to help people out who maybe are dealing with these things? If we have a friend who we think might be dealing with an unhealthy or harmful relationship, what can we do about that? Take a few minutes and come up with a few ideas of things that we could do if we had a friend who was in an unhealthy relationship. A couple of tips. We can always reach out. Don't be afraid to share your concerns with a friend who maybe we're noticing some warning signs or some red flags. It never hurts just to check in and see how they're doing and make sure everything is going okay for them. At the very least, they'll know that we're someone who cares about them and who's there for them and willing to talk to them about the things that are going on. Even if they're not ready to share just yet, continuing to check in and make sure that they know we're there for them can be incredibly helpful, so that when they are ready to talk about it, they know that we're someone that they can come to. Focus on our friends rather than the abusive partner. It's important that they feel comfortable coming to us and talking to us about what's going on. They might not make decisions that we agree with. They might decide that they don't want to leave that relationship, or that maybe they still have feelings for their partner. As we've talked about, that can be a very common feeling in relationships like this that are maybe harmful or unhealthy. So understanding that and being supportive of them anyway, even if maybe their decisions aren't decisions that we agree with or would wish for them, can be incredibly helpful, making sure that they do know we're someone that they can come to. Similarly, being supportive and listening to them patiently, listening to their feelings and respecting their decisions, and just making sure that they know that we are there for them. Often in harmful and abusive relationships, they might have had a lot of decision-making power taken away from them, kind of like we've talked about. So allowing them to make their own decisions and supporting and respecting those decisions can be incredibly helpful. Connecting them to community resources. At Safe Passage, we're more than happy to talk to people about information and support them and help them out, whether or not they decide to leave that relationship. Also, everything we do, as we've talked about, is completely confidential. So saying things like, hey, do you want to look for resources together? Or, I have this phone number, is it okay if we call this together? Or, do you want to go into this office with me so that we can kind of talk about what's going on? Things like that can be very, very helpful. Letting them know that whatever it is that they decide to do or whatever process they have to go through, they don't have to go through it alone, and that you're there for them can be very, very powerful and helpful. Help our friends realize that the abuse is not normal and it's not their fault. Often, as we've talked about, in abusive relationships, people can tend to feel like those behaviors are their own fault or somehow they deserve them. So helping them recognize that that's not the case. No one deserves to be in an abusive relationship, and everyone deserves to be treated with respect. It's not their own fault. It's not something that they've done. We don't recommend contacting the abusive partner or publicly posting things that they might find online. If they see those things or if they're confronted, they might get upset and they might further harm the person that we're trying to help, or they might get angry and try to take that anger out on our friend that we're trying to help. So the best way to keep everyone as safe as possible is just connect with that friend that we're trying to help and not connecting or contacting that abusive person. If someone thought that they were in an unhealthy relationship, what can they do about that? What are their options? Again, take a minute to think about this. What could a person in an unhealthy relationship do for themselves? Planning a safe way to break up can be very helpful. Breaking up in an abusive or harmful relationship can be very, very scary. So coming up with ways to do that safely. Some people decide to maybe go to a public place to break up. Maybe they bring a friend or another supportive person with them to sit with them while they break up. Maybe in some cases, especially if they're feeling unsafe, they might choose to break up over the phone. However they choose to do it, coming up with the best and safest way to end that relationship can be helpful. Those are things that we at Safe Passage can also talk about, kind of going over options and thinking about different aspects of each unique situation and coming up with the safest way to move forward is something that we're more than happy to talk to people about. Similarly, talking about how we can stay safe in the relationship if we don't plan to break up right now. So how can we stay as safe as possible in that relationship? Maybe if we are staying in the relationship, if we're not breaking up, what can we do to stay as safe as possible? That's also something that we're happy to talk with people about at Safe Passage. We can also ask for help from other supportive people in our lives. We have a lot of different people in our lives. Maybe we have parents or grandparents or family friends, older siblings, maybe school staff, a teacher that we trust, or a school counselor, a student resource officer, or other people that we have in our lives who we know are safe people for us to go and talk to. Starting that conversation can be very, very difficult, so preparing in advance might be helpful. Maybe practicing what we want to say if that's a safe option for us, or writing it down if that's a safe option for us. The goal is to stay as safe as possible. So finding those people who are going to be safe for us to talk to and finding a safe way for us to go and talk to them. You can always give our hotline a call. Just as a reminder, it is completely confidential, it's completely free, and it's available 24/7. So that can be a good option for somebody who maybe does have some questions or wants to talk specifically to an advocate. We can also establish healthy boundaries, especially early on in the relationship. This is going to be very helpful. Being able to establish those boundaries and kind of talk about and have those conversations about what's going to be a deal breaker and what our boundaries are can be very, very helpful and a good way to keep both people more safe and more happy in that relationship. So that's also something we're happy to talk to people about at Safe Passage. That's also something that other people in our lives can have conversations with us about. That is going to look very different for each different person and each different situation and relationship. So just having those conversations, figuring out how we'll establish those boundaries can also be super helpful. Finally, practicing self-care. Whether we're dealing with these types of behaviors or we know or love someone who's dealing with these types of behaviors, it can take a very significant mental toll on us. So knowing what kinds of things we need to do to take care of ourselves is going to be very, very important. So knowing ourselves and knowing what kinds of things are going to be the best ways to care for ourselves is going to be really helpful for us in kind of keeping ourselves as safe and as happy as possible. So knowing those things, practicing that self-care. So just as a reminder, we are here for you and we do want you to have healthy and safe and happy relationships. Here's our contact information one more time. So again, there's our 24/7 phone number at the top of the screen and our website that has more information. If you need a little refresher on some of the things that we do at Safe Passage, that can be a really good place to find that information on our website. We also have an email that students can send emails to us, and an Instagram page that we can follow. We can also get messages on that Instagram page. So again, just a reminder, we do get messages on our Instagram and email, and even though we do our best to answer those as quickly as possible, we can't always guarantee that we'll answer them right away. So if it is a time-sensitive issue, call our hotline because that is available 24/7. If it's not time-sensitive or you just want to say hi or get some more information, but it's not a time-sensitive issue, feel free to reach out to us on Instagram or our email or our phone number. And we do also have a Facebook page, which is a good way to stay updated on events and other things going on at Safe Passage. So, thank you so much for participating in these videos and watching these videos. Just a reminder one more time, if you do have more questions or you would like more clarification on anything that we've said or covered in here, feel free to reach out to us. If you have concerns or want to talk to an advocate, we are available 24/7. If you have any feedback on these videos or you have ideas for things that we could improve or do better on, also feel free to let us know and reach out. We always are looking for ways to improve what we do and make information more accessible and easier to get a hold of. So feel free to reach out to us, and thank you so much for watching these videos, and we do hope that these were helpful to you. So just remember, everyone deserves a healthy relationship, and we are here for you.